Hey freaks and friends, welcome to day 6 of the 31 Days of October. The daily content continues today with the 45 Years of Halloween series special. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Myers houses that appear throughout the franchise, and we are going to be ranking those puppies. Let's go. Make sure to stab that subscribe button and slash that bell icon so you don't miss out on this daily Halloween content all through the month of October. So the legendary Myers house has appeared in 7 of the Halloween films over the course of the last 45 years. It first makes its appearance in the first film, of course, and we see it in the sequel, we see it in Halloween 5 and Halloween 6. Shows up again in Halloween Resurrection. Rob Zombie's Halloween has its own Myers house. And in Halloween Kills, we see the Myers house again. There are quite a few different forms that the house has taken over the years. It's a bit of a transformer, if you will. And at its very foundation, though, it is a very integral part of the series as far as the sort of Halloween lore, really. It doesn't always have a big key role as sort of a component in the films, but there are times here and there where the house is featured a little more prominently. It is an important piece of that film's narrative, respectively. But with that said, let's get into the ranking. But first, a word from our sponsors. This video is brought to you by our friends at Strode Real Estate. They shape any house into a home. Strode Real Estate stands behind you and your family, and they represent strong family values. Strode Real Estate. Call your friends today. We're going to be looking at really 6 different interpretations of the house, but I figure for honorable mention I might as well just mention the Halloween Kills flashback version of the Myers house, where that seems to be very much similar to the original house that we see in 78. In a lot of ways, it feels like it's still the same house, but we do see the house again later in the film. We'll be taking a look at the refurnished version of the house later in this list here. So, flashback version of the Myers house in Halloween Kills is just the honorable mention. So coming in 6th place, you could call this the basement of the Myers house ranking here. This is going to be the Victorian Myers mansion that we see in Halloween 5. Now, this is a nice house. It's a beautiful house. It would be a great house to have in a horror movie. But when you have something like the Myers house that is from time to time pretty damn integral to the plot, you don't want to stray too far from what was previously established. And I understand that the reason why we went with this Victorian mansion was because the director of Halloween 5 wanted something a little more European and theatrical looking, which I get, but when you're 5 films into a series, you can't really go making choices like that. But we're not here to harp on the film too much, we're here to burn down the house, essentially. The Halloween 5 house, though, is, again, a spectacular house, but it's a terrible version of the Myers house. Even if they did try to pass it off, you can tell by looking at this bad boy from the outside that it is way too big to be this mild suburban house, you know, this little pre-war colonial looking house. I don't know, there's just so many things wrong with this one. I feel like the Halloween 5 Myers house almost deserves its own video. Maybe when I talk about Halloween 5 here in a few days, we'll roast this house a little bit more. But yeah, the Halloween 5 Myers house, guys, it's just awful representation. So coming in at 5th place for the Myers houses, we're looking at one that I think is quite a bit of an improvement from Halloween 5. This is going to be the Myers house that we see in The Curse of Michael Myers. In a lot of ways, I want to put this one much higher, but if we're looking at what the Myers house is supposed to be, this one does have to go a little bit lower. This one feels like it's in the middle of that metamorphosis between the Victorian mansion, but it's also trying to become the original house again. This one's still a bigger house, but compared to the Victorian mansion, this is considerably much more similar to the original house. It's very basic looking on the front. It's larger, though, than the original house, so that does kind of dock points there. But with this being the first Halloween film I saw, I have that weird bias toward it where the whole thing is damn rose tinted, so whether or not there's rose bushes out in the front, I don't know if John hacked those down out of anger. This one does unfortunately have to come into 5th place just out of trying to look at it practically. The Myers house here is, again, it's passable. It's, again, a very vast improvement from the previous film, but it's still a pretty good far cry away from what it should be at. Where the Halloween 5 Myers house is terrible, this is where it's at least good, and they only really get better from here. Coming in 4th place, this one could be higher, but in terms of the house itself, it does just end up becoming a little bit lower. We have the house that was used in Halloween Resurrection. And what's interesting about this one is that it was actually built on a soundstage, and it was supposed to be based off of the floor plans of the original house, which I think is really cool. It sort of shows that there is a little bit of integrity to be had in Halloween Resurrection. And we're 6 days in and I've said something nice about it. We're doing pretty good. The house they have here, it's pretty cool. I like that it's dilapidated. It really does have that essence of there was some evil shit that happened in this house 30 years ago. Not even 30 years at that point, 25, yeah, about 25 years ago, some real evil shit happened in this house, and we need to just board it up and forget about it. We're not going to demolish it, but we're going to board it up and forget about it. It's going to be an eyesore for the whole neighborhood. You can see what's allegedly across the street looks like a very nicer area of Haddonfield. So why do they have the Myers house here? Well, there's historical significance. And I don't know, I guess I'm docking points because there's now a garage there. We didn't see that before. I don't know if it was hidden by the bushes that Loomis was hiding in, but I'm pretty sure Loomis would have been toying around in the garage. There would have been some mention of a damn garage in the original Halloween film. I'm already getting angry about Halloween Resurrection now. Let's move on. Coming in 3rd place, we have the Myers house that was used in Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween. This one is only here because it is different, but it has a very good excuse for being different. It's a whole new timeline, so that difference is excusable. Perhaps it would have been a little aggravating if Rob Zombie had used the original house, but I do like that this one actually has that little balcony on the front. It comes into play in a way that I think is real cool. Whenever Bob and Linda show up at the Myers house and you just see Michael out there on the balcony, that was a little okay. How did they not see him? Oh well, we'll forget about that. But it's a nice house, I think. I mean, considering the condition, the people who live in that house, oh my god, these Rob Zombie characters, man, you gotta love them. Yeah, the house doesn't look like it's in good condition even at the beginning of this film, but I think with the characters and the way the story is being told, I think this house is pretty believable. Is it the best Myers house? I wouldn't say so, but it's doing pretty good considering it is here at number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have the refurnished Myers house from Halloween Kills. And the reason why this one is so high is because it gives us sort of a look at what the Myers house looks like while it's being lived in a way that is actually pretty true to the original Myers house. Now, in 1978, we do see that the house is well lived in, but we don't really get to spend a lot of time there. We go through it real quick, but here, again, the house is a little bit different, but it seems to be structured based off of the original house as best as possible. And it has a real welcoming sort of atmosphere to it too. It just seems like a real nice house to spend time in, and I don't know, there's just something really weird about seeing the Myers house lit really well at night. Like, you got the lights on and it just looks like, it doesn't look like a dangerous place to be at all. Like, you would go there on Halloween night and not even realize what you've got coming to you in 2018, 2021. The Myers house from Halloween Kills, refurnished. Again, it's just a beautiful looking house. We'll probably talk more about this when I cover Halloween Kills. So coming in at number 1 is no surprise to anybody, the OG Myers house that we get in the first 2 films. So why is the OG Myers house number 1? Simple. It all starts here. The first thing we see after the Jack-o'-lantern titles is the Myers house. The catalyst event of the franchise happens in the Myers house. One of the best moments in the franchise period happens in the Myers house. The OG Myers house, I think, is just really great. It's a bit of a staple to the franchise, of course. Like I said already, it's where everything starts. Its importance cannot be overstated. So to put a roof on this thing, we're gonna just move on and accept the fact that the OG Myers house is the best. So that was my ranking of the Myers houses that we get in the Halloween franchise, guys. This one I thought was an interesting little dive into the series as far as rankings go. I don't think I've really seen a whole lot of rankings on this on the YouTubes here. And as somebody who's not the most knowledgeable when it comes to houses, I found this video to be actually a little trickier to make than I was expecting. Now, the list, of course, I had pretty well summed out, but talking about houses, I found out, is not the easiest thing if you don't know a whole lot about them. I know how to live in a house, but that's about it. So with that said, guys, let's get on out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to come back tomorrow. Hit that like, bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the 7th day of Halloween. We'll see you guys tomorrow.